There are no limits to the human imagination. With each new movie in the horror genre, the imagination of the writers surprises us. Sometimes they take old ideas and create a monster based on them. Over time, many of them are forgotten, and others are so unremarkable that we lose interest in them. Another example is the Jeepers Creepers. The story of this creature has never been told. It's been over 20 years since the first movie was released, but there is no answer as to who the Jeepers Creepers are. In 2018, the first comic book about the monster was released, and already there we were given the necessary information to realize that the Cripper is not a demon, but a living being, except that this organism is not from our planet. Therefore, its anatomy and life cycle are radically different from all known forms of life on Earth. So, for your convenience, the video will be divided into parts. First and foremost is the story of the Creeper. Since the movies didn't show us much of the monster's past, I will use comic books and script drafts as my main source of information. Most people think the Creeper is a demon, but it's not. In the first issue of the comic, the writers show a scene where the Aztecs cut out a heart during a sacrificial ritual in which the Creeper was honored as the deity Quetzalcoatl. Therefore, it is believed that the Aztecs were the first people to honor the Creeper. They idolized and worshipped the monster for centuries, feeding it with people's hearts and sacrificing their most beautiful women and best warriors. In fact, the first mentions of the Creeper date back much further. In 4000 BC, the ancient Sumerians mentioned the monster as a guest from another world and called it Ningish Zeta. Like the Aztecs, they feared the Creeper and preferred to sacrifice themselves willingly. Most interestingly, the Sumerians saw the Creeper as a guest who fell from heaven to earth. It was not born on our planet. The monster existed before the first humans. Both religions claimed that the Creeper did not come to earth alone. He had a twin brother, Dumuzi, and the Aztecs called him Xolotl. He was no different from the Creeper in appearance and also liked to eat humans. The first to make war on the uninvited guests were the Egyptians. They did not recognize the gods who killed people and brought no good to our world, so they began to prepare their plan of retaliation. The Egyptians knew these creatures were immortal. They had no information on how to kill them, but they knew the main weakness of this species. It's a strange cycle of life. The Creeper had to sleep for a long time. Its sleep lasted 23 years, and its active phase of life lasted only 23 days. So they built a huge stone structure, a prison from which the monster could not escape. We know this structure as the Pyramid of Cheops. When Khufu's brother Xolotl was asleep, his body was carried into the pyramid. All the internal organs were removed by the Egyptians and placed separately in jars. Later, the body was completely dried and placed in the sarcophagus. This is the standard process of mummification. Even if the monster wakes up, it will not be able to get out on its own. To regenerate his body and restore his heart, lungs, and brain, he will need donors, that is, humans. And since he was buried under a multi-ton slab and inside the pyramid itself, he was condemned to eternal existence in the tomb, which was sealed so that no one could reach the monster from the outside. The Creeper himself, upon learning that his brother was imprisoned in the pyramid, decided that it was no longer safe for him to be in the area and decided to go to North America, where he was later found by the Aztecs and began to be worshipped. From this important story, we learn that the Creeper was not born on Earth. He is most likely an alien who arrived on the planet before it was conquered by humans. The Sumerians believed that he and his brother Dumuzi came from Venus, but whether they did or not is unknown. I still believe that Dumuzi is not a brother, but just another representative of an alien civilization. We can't say for sure that there were two of them on Earth either, because there are mentions of these monsters in different cultures around the world. The ancient Chinese called it a dragon. In Jewish mythology, it was called Nama. The Mayans called it Kamazotz. The Cherokees, Uktana, Abaddon, the Devil, Lucifer, Dubdana. So many names and hardly the work of just a monster, because mentions of the same creature occur at the same time, but in different parts of the planet and on different continents. How many creepers there were at the beginning of their history is unknown, but we do know that over time, people stopped worshiping the visitor from another world, and an order of warriors from different nations was created to search the world for the Creeper and others like it. In a scene from the old movie, we were shown at least 4 different nations fighting the ancient monster, from knights to Indians. It is not known who exactly founded the order and how much they were able to do, but all the same, as a result of their activities to our time, lived only one, and his name is Jippers. But how he managed to live for tens of thousands of years, and why is he considered immortal? This is where we need to delve into the strange anatomy of the creature, and most importantly, its ability to regenerate its body and replace all internal organs. We don't really know what the creeper looked like originally, as it assimilates body parts like something out of a John Carpenter movie, if we can use that term for better understanding. But if we go back to the histories of the ancient races, he was first described as a serpent with wings and a hood that opened, and it created its humanoid form after it began to absorb human body parts. The creature is capable of replacing all of its organs. It's this ability that gives it immortality, but everything has its price. The creeper is in survival mode for most of its life. He goes into anabiosis for 23 years and wakes up in the spring for 23 days to replace his organs, which have deteriorated over time. Therefore, he is forced to look for donors in the form of humans. Not all humans are suitable for replacement. He has an extra nostril on his nose. This super sensitive organ helps him choose the right victim. He is able to analyze a person's state of health by the scent they emit. It's not fear that attracts the creeper, as many believe, but the right organs to devour. There is a theory that it can only absorb organs from people of a certain blood type, and only from males, since the creeper itself is male. Once the donor is on one, the creeper absorbs the correct body part for the replacement, and is able to swap any body part, even its own head. The creeper does this not only when its head is severely damaged and unable to function, but also to gain new information. Since its active phase is very short, it must learn and adapt to the rapidly changing world around it. In 23 days, it is almost impossible to understand how society has changed, so the main task of the head replacement is to get information and memories. That's how he learns everything. Creeper knows how to drive, wears disguises, and understands and speaks English. Creeper also listens to music and is even open to creativity. He is like something that quickly adapts to a new planet, and since humans are the dominant species, Creeper chose them as donors, and they served as the main source for creating the appearance of his body. We remember that in the beginning, when he came to Earth, he looked like a winged serpent, but after thousands of years, he already looked like a human, almost like a human. This is a great way to survive and quickly adapt to new living conditions, but in order for his body to accept his organs as its own, he must go through anabiosis, which is why he sleeps for 23 years. During this time, the creeper goes through a complete cycle of transformation as new body parts are assimilated. We know that the creeper has changed his head twice in the second movie due to injuries, and the first time was in 1953. This is easy to understand because of his fondness for the music of those years. He listens to his favorite Jeepers Creepers tune, a jazz song released in 1938. The car he is driving was manufactured by Chevrolet in 1941. By doing some simple math, subtracting 23 years from each of his awakenings, it's easy to calculate exactly when the creeper changed his head. It's exactly 1953. You're probably wondering what his head looked like before his first incarnation as a human. The answer lies in the creeper's creativity, or rather, his love of carving his weapons. The handles of his blades are made of human bone and are always decorated with carvings. This is where he depicts his original appearance. This image is also on all his blades, and even on his spear. This is what the creeper looked like when he first appeared on Earth, a snake-like head with many teeth in several rows. You can also see that its opening hood, like its wings, was originally part of its body. I think it is through the hood that the brain-body connection is made. That's why he could easily rip off his head and not lose control of his body. But that's just a theory. The creature's anatomy is very strange. It's hard to compare it to the organisms that live on our planet. Its wings allow it to fly very fast. Claws on its legs are needed to grab the victim. Like birds of prey, its teeth are sharp and are not designed to chew food, but only to catch it in the flesh and tear it apart. It has emotions. It feels anger and even joy, and his twisted creativity, sewing corpses together, terrifies humans. He makes his own weapons, often using human bones. In the first two movies, Jipper Crippers looked like a violent creature with a deep past, but the third film went in a completely different direction. We were shown him with a mystical side. Not only did he control the truck with his mind, which looked extremely silly, but he also controlled weapons. He was controlling a spear and an axe. By the way, his axe is the only murder weapon that Jippers didn't create. It's probably a souvenir from past battles, and it's important to him for some reason, and it's always at the creeper's back. In the third movie, we were shown a flying arm and a lot of unnecessary stuff that confused everyone in the audience, including me. Because in addition to the unnecessary telekinesis, we were shown a strange skeleton in the car, and it definitely did not belong to a human. It could be the skull of another member of the species. There is a theory that there were 3 of them in total. In the second movie, where we are shown a bit of the Creeper's history through Mincy's visions, at the end we see 3 scarecrows, in the middle is the Creeper himself, and on the sides are dead members of his species. One was killed by the Egyptians early in their history, another was probably killed by the Holy Order, and in our time only 1 is left. So the skull in the truck could belong to one of the 3 monsters. In the third movie, as I said, we learned even more weirdness, and although it wasn't fully explained how people dream about the Creeper and have visions, but in the draft scripts for the second movie, it was stated that you can't touch it, it can make a connection. This connection was very poorly demonstrated in the third movie, with the severed hand. Personally, I don't take the sequel seriously, the first 2 movies exist for me, but after the hand contact, the theory of how to kill the Creeper was born. If at the beginning everyone thought you could kill him with an axe, which Creeper always carries with him, then after the third movie, all the thoughts on how to kill Creeper came together. It doesn't work with weapons or holy relics. You have to eat him while he sleeps. That may be the case, but it's unlikely we'll find out anytime soon. The first Jeepers Creepers movie came out in 2001. The budget of the movie is $10 million, but the box office was $60 million. Plus, how much the movie was able to earn from DVD sales is unknown, but it was definitely a success. Viewers liked Jeepers. Critics called it the Frankenstein in the movie. Since Jeepers Creepers combined many other images, the movie Scarecrow was released in 1988, where 3 scary scarecrows in a cornfield sew body parts of living people to themselves in order to survive. This is very reminiscent of the Creeper itself. He has a strange life cycle, like Pennywise from Stephen King's Ono, only Pennywise awakens every 27 years. He hunts, he collects trophies as a predator, and as something he copies people's organs and tries to survive. So yes, Jeepers Creepers is the Frankenstein of the movie world. What do you think? Write in the comments. See you soon.